With rising food prices, many Minnesotans are trying to find ways to keep costs down. While some plant gardens, others have taken it a step further and produced their own honey by beekeeping. Cameron Kramer looks at an introductory beekeeping class in this week's Northwoods Adventure.
Maybe it's rising food costs, fears of extinction, or just the need for homegrown food. Ordinary citizens are willing to take more than a few stings to harvest their own honey.
For whatever reason, beekeeping is interesting to folks right now.
A class at the Northland Arboretum hoped to clue in residents who might want to try their hand at beekeeping.
But no, I've always thought about having my own bees and stuff like that. And I saw this advertised and I said, it's time to go do it, And I like honey.
They feel that some of this stuff that's happening around the world and stuff, they say how important bees are. If we lose the bees, we're in trouble.
The 4-hour-long class touched on many aspects of beekeeping, starting off with the star of the show itself, the honeybee, and all things related to it.
The second hour is basically the beginning of beekeeping, the equipment, some of the processes.
But after the introductory half of the class, the topics get more specific.
How to install new bees, how to feed them, how to winterize them, how to harvest honey.
There were plenty of examples on hand, whether it was literature, clothing, or the equipment itself. This is what's known as a frame, a removable cutout that houses bees. 10 frames completes the large wooden box that houses the hive.
I bring in pretty much all the equipment you can possibly imagine, except for the bees themselves.
All the equipment can be pricey for the initial investment, but can last a decade or more.
It's the beginning costs that really set you back. And as long as you can keep your bees alive, you don't have to buy any more of those.
Beekeeping is a family affair for Sean.
I've been beekeeping myself about 3-4 years now. Grew up around my grandfather, Harry Meyer, who's been keeping bees since 1940 something or another.
I started when I was 12, so that would be 70 plus years ago that I started with it.
And whether you've been keeping for 70 years or just learning, the payoff was in the final product.
Got my 3 daughters in there, the wife, the grandparents, we're all in the honey room. It's quite a day.
Oh, if I get to that point, I love buckwheat honey. Dark, almost like a molasses. And that's my goal, is I want to do that. Because it's hard to find good buckwheat honey nowadays.
Unless you produce it yourself. For this week's Northwoods Adventure, Cameron Kramer, Lakeland News.
The presentation was put on by the North Central Beekeepers Association, which was started in 1949.